My guest to the right, when she was growing up, wanted to be a singer. And as a result, not only did she become a singer, she also became a band leader, a musician, a singer, a writer, and a director. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Harmony. Harmony, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you for
me. I
your time.
appreciate it. Yes.
That's an interesting bio. Why don't you tell our viewers how did you go about wearing so many different hats? You know.
It was most of the time, it was really just because I've always been interested in the theater arts, in music. My dad is a musician, so I just kind of grew up in that world.
Okay.
And, as people saw that I had interest in stuff, they would allow me to study under them.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I did some assistant director work with a couple of plays, and I was acting in a play. This is how I became a director. I was one of the comedy relief in this play,
Right.
and the writer, she was a great writer, but she didn't really have the patience to work with the actors like
Okay.
that. Because, actors are moody people,
Right. Right. Right.
and you got to take care of their mood and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do on screen. So she asked me to take over.
Okay.
And I ended up doing several more after that. It was really fun. I even won I was runner up in the Director of the Year awards down in
Really?
North Carolina. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
absolutely.
Impressive. Impressive.
Yeah.
All right. So now you said you basically got started by singing, or
So, just to give a little background, my dad is a jazz musician,
okay.
and he played with people like Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie, Phyllis Hyman, people
Wow.
like that. And so, and I met all of these people growing up, so I had music all around me.
Wow.
And I discovered that I could make the same sounds people on the records were making really, really young. And I can remember the first time someone asked me, "What do you want to be when you grew up?" And I was like, "A singer." I was, a little
Right.
sassy thing.
Right.
And I was literally, I remember where I was on 154th and Riverside when it happened because I grew up on Riverside Drive.
Right.
And the lady said, "Well, can you sing?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, sing something." And so I sang something right on the spot. It was like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or something like that. And then it was too low. So I went up an octave. And she was like, "Oh, okay." So, now keep in mind, I'm around people like Miles Davis and
Right.
Abby Lincoln and Dee Dee Bridgewater.
Right.
And,
Right.
um, you know, so it's just part of my life. I didn't know people didn't grow up with music in their
Right.
house like that.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
that's how I got started
Okay.
with singing
All
in
right.
itself. Mhm.
Did you have any particular influences in terms of people that you tried to
Emulate.
pattern yourself after in terms of singing styles? Or
I think I'm a mashup of a lot of different people that I admire.
okay,
Aretha Franklin and Marvin Gaye, I discovered really, really young.
right,
And so I studied them. I studied Stevie. That's how you learn how to do them runs. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
yeah,
because I had this musical family, they would see me studying. I took piano. I worked with percussion and stuff like that. One of my uncles came to me one day and said, "You really want to do this music stuff?"
right,
And I said, "Yes." So he gave me this compilation of Stevie Wonder stuff, songs called Songs in the Key of Life.
right, yeah,
He said, "Learn all of them. When you're done, you will be a musician." I was like, "Oh, okay."
really,
But I really did listen to all of those songs. And I don't remember them now because of the accent I've been in.
right.
I kind of know them. But yeah, so I went to school really young, is what I'm actually saying. And then I went to college
Did you? Okay.
and I was a triple major:
Oh, were
music,
you really?
theater, and dance.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now out of all of those different ventures, um, which one I guess was more profitable to you?
It's in waves.
It's in ways.
Sometimes I get more acting stuff. Lately it's really been the music. It's been about the music, but New York is like they love live music and I love live music.
Right,
So that's kind of what I've been gravitating towards lately. But it's
right,
not the end all be all because I've written some stuff that I have not put out or produced yet.
really,
And one of them is a documentary of how I lost 200 pounds, moved to New York City, formed a band during COVID, and now I get pretty regularly. I get jobs
right.
pretty regularly, and sometimes I go after them, and a lot of times the phone just rings, and I'm really grateful for that because
Really, that's good. So
yeah,
now you say you have a band.
yes.
Okay. What's the name of your band?
So my name's Harmony Bartz, and the name of the band is the Harmony Experience.
The Harmony Experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is
Or the Harmony Bartz Experience. Yes.
Okay. How many people are in the
We go between just me doing a song to some tracks, because that's what the budget is,
Right.
to a 10-piece band.
10-piece band? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys get booked for gigs?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
that? Okay.
One of the biggest bookings we had was at the International African Arts Festival in Brooklyn. They do it every year. It's like 50 years in. Funny story, my dad did the first one.
Get out of here, really?
I remember being there as a kid, like with my mom and my dad, and he was playing. And then, so for years later, and I did one guest appearance with him at the 45th one. Um, but then last year, they contacted me and asked me to bring my band. Very, very great to like carry on the legacy of my dad. His name is Gary Bartz, 2-time Grammy winner. And, I don't advertise it a lot because people think you're bragging,
Yeah.
and I'm not. That's just that's just my heritage.
Yeah.
That's just my heritage, and I'm very, very proud of him because I know where he came from. We came from humble beginnings, and to sleep in a bedroom next to someone who has a Grammy, 2 Grammys in their bedroom, lets you know that anything is possible no matter where you start,
Right. And just the dedication, and a commitment to the craft or whatever. When I was reading your bio and I was reading how you were, interested, or you basically had your hand in all these different pots.
Yeah.
It was just like, man, like, how unique must she be to have her hands in all these pots? Because a lot of times, people can only do but 1 or 2 things really good.
Yeah.
But since you have multiple streams,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Multiple streams of income is important in this society.
Right.
So, I've always been a hustler, to go out and get the money, but I always wanted to do it legally because I'm scared of jail. Nope, it's just not, I don't want that to be a part of my story. You know what I'm saying? So I had to find out ways to legally, make money and still make myself happy because I've had a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
I've been in corporate America. I was like second from the top in a Fortune 500 company in the building. Miserable.
Yeah.
Had all the money I wanted.
Right, and that goes without saying, because anytime that you're a true artist at heart, to go into corporate America is kind of like confining you. So,
it is.
Although you didn't want to go to a physical jail, in a sense, it's kind of like being in a jail.
It was.
Because it stifles that creativity. It's like, no,
absolutely.
You can do it like this.
Yeah.
You don't give a damn about
all of that.
Yeah.
Well, my issue always was they didn't give a damn about the people up under them. And, so I was I was very vocal about that. So, yeah, they got rid of me.
Right. Which actually, you know what? It may not have even have been them. It might have been you. It might have been your higher self.
I'm unemployed, pretty much, because I don't do well to people telling me that I got to treat other people bad in order to make my money. I just don't believe that.
See, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
As an artist.
Yeah.
Sometimes, your higher self will put you in situations where it's like, all right, you know what?
He really did.
She ain't getting it. She's not getting it. You know what?
No. Let me tell you how much that it woke me up, because I kept saying I was gonna leave, I was gonna move up north. I was in North Carolina at the time, and but so they fired me while my husband was in a coma, dying, and he died a week later. So I was very upset because here I just lost all my income and my and my person, and I had 3 teenagers.
Oh, wow.
And so, that's that higher being doing for me what I can't do for myself. Had I still been at that job, I would have still been worried about that job instead of these kids that were grieving, instead of me that was grieving. And so, it really shook things up. And then I got in a car accident a few months later where I died.
Wow.
Like, thrown out of the car, looking at myself laying on the highway, like looking at myself.
Right, you could actually remember that. Wow.
I do. But I felt the presence of my husband. He told me, not yet.
He said, God don't want you yet. No, get back down.
Because think about it. My kids would have been orphans within the space of a year. Right? And also my daughter was in the car. And all I kept hearing was her screaming for me. Because I wasn't in the car. So I thought maybe she had been thrown out too. So I went back to go look for her to make sure she didn't she wasn't hurt. And luckily she was still in the car. I called to the thing, and then I realized I had like 8 broken bones. My scalp came, like, it was bad. And I had to learn to walk and talk again. I had to learn every song I ever knew again. But I really decided while I was laying there healing that I was going to live my life the exact way I wanted for the rest of my life. None of this, I'm going to do this until this comes along. You know what I'm saying? Or, one day, none of that one day. I'm going to do it today.
See, and this is why you're here. This is exactly
Gave me a
why
sense of
you're
urgency.
here.
Yeah, changed my life completely. But it didn't look good at the beginning. Like, why would I lose? And then my landlord told me to leave.
And then your landlord said,
While I'm healing, he was like, yeah, we're not going to renew your lease. I have been there 14 years. Never missed a rent payment. But that was my impetus to move to New York.
right.
Well, actually, I moved to New Jersey because I didn't think my Southern kids from North Carolina was ready for New York City public schools.
That's interesting. So once again, just to reiterate the point, and guys, this is so important.
Yes.
When you get that call in, your higher self is going to do whatever it has to get your attention to make sure that you answer that call, because I believe we're all here for a purpose.
I do too.
So, and a lot of times we get distracted by our jobs, by certain titles, all the superficial stuff.
Right.
And that was your higher self, I believe it sounds
absolutely.
Right. Way of just like, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that.
Now what you going to do with it?
Right, because a lot of times what a lot of people don't realize, change is violent. Right?
It is.
When you go through motherhood, like that experience is violent.
Oh, yes, I've done it 3 times. I do know.
It's a beautiful outcome. It's a beautiful experience, but there's some trauma.
It is. Your body goes through a lot, and I've got 3, I call them birth babies, and I got some bonus kids from my husband had children when and even though he's gone on, all of us, all of the mothers of all the children, we get along. There's never been no cat fighting, and we make sure the kids know each other and are real brother and sister.
And I appreciate that too, because in this day and age where like society thrives on the negativity and drama.
None of us had any of that.
Yeah, you figure.
Or if they do, I don't know about it. So.
The most important thing is the children.
It is. It is, because none of them asked to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But when I moved from North Carolina, I was still very, very sick, and I got with a team of doctors here who really helped me heal. I was telling you that I lost 200 pounds because they had me on all these meds after the accident, and I just was getting bigger and bigger, and they kept seeing stuff. I had a breast cancer scare. I had a kidney cancer scare. They're seeing cysts and everything, and so I just really completely changed my life around. Started stopped drinking sodas, drinking mostly water and intermittent fasting, and I looked up one day and I had lost 200, and I was back into my college clothes. I was like, 200. Yes.
Intermittent fasting, guys. Diet is important.
Health is very important, because without your health, you can't do none of the stuff you want to do.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sick people with all the money in the world, and the only thing that they wish they could buy, which they can, is just good health. And that's about making choices, different different decisions. Man, Harmony, you are amazing, man, and I am very, very glad that you're here.
Thank you.
You said that you have a band. You also a singer, writer, director. Out of all the different things that you basically have on your plate, what do you feel would offer the biggest opportunity right now at this particular time for you?
Well, the band is really getting a lot of traction right now.
Okay.
But my plan has always been to continue working on everything.
Right.
And whatever pops first, we'll just add the other stuff.
Okay.
I took a master class under Shirley Ralph once.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm an actress as well.
Right.
And we were talking about how, as a black female actress, there's about 10 black women that get all the roles.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm not mad at them. Right. I don't want you to think this is a hate session. And we were talking about, well, how do we have, because, there's not that many for black women. So, it's the same few. So how do we move past that so that there's more content for black women to have those roles?
Right.
And what she said really struck me. She said, the reason why there's not a lot of roles is because people write about their experience. And most of these people in Hollywood don't have experiences with black women.
Right.
So they're not going to write about it. They might have experience with, black men, they've been on teams together
Right.
and, that type of stuff. You got your buddies. But unless they've dated one, which a lot have not, who are, let's face it, a lot of rich white men who are running this, running this business. So she said, we have to create our own.
Right.
Write our own stories.
Right.
Because we know what it's like to be black women and black men and or brown or whatever your race is, because it's not really just race. Right. They probably don't know what it's like to be poor and white.
Right.
They can't really relate to that or write those stories. Right. Some people should do that, Yeah. So I'm going to write about what I am doing, and I would love to actually tell my story. I started filming about 2 years ago when I moved to New York.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I filmed myself getting the studio. I took over a music studio. I filmed myself. You could see clearly like when the band started and how much more polished we got.
Right.
You see me losing the weight. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I started off with the band. I was like, well over 200 pounds. I had already lost like 100 of it. And you could see as I gradually went down to 125,
So you basically got like 2 or 3 reality shows going on,
I've even named them, but I'm not going to drop the name.
I got you.
And I also have a movie I wrote about the car accident, because that really was a catalyst in changing not only my life, but the life of my entire family. Like, my kids didn't want to move. All they knew was North Carolina. But I was like, look around you. We don't have no family down here left.
Right.
Like, I'm going to need some help with y'all. They're teenagers. They're grieving. I'm grieving because this is one of my best friends in the world that just passed away suddenly. Now I don't know how I'm gonna support you guys. Like, I need some family help.
Right. I need some help. Right.
And it ended up being a good thing, but they were not happy. My daughter wouldn't pack her room till the last day.
Get out of here, really?
We had the truck. Everybody was putting stuff on, and her stuff was still she had the bed there, a little teddy bear sitting out. No, baby, we're leaving. Right. Like, we gotta go.
It wasn't real for her. Wow.
You might want to take that out. She'll be mad that I told that story.
So now with the band, like, how often do you guys perform? Do you get gigs every week? Or?
I perform every week.
Okay.
But some of those are unpaid gigs. But we do about 2, 3, sometimes 4 gigs a month.
Okay.
On a good month. There have been some lean months. It's there's been some months where we didn't do anything, and I really used that as a time to recharge, rather than being like, oh my God, I don't have no work.
So have you ever had any situations with the band where you was on the way to a gig and maybe a member got sick or didn't show up?
Oh yeah.
So how did you handle that?
We called somebody else. Started the gig without them, and they came in like partway through the gig, set up, and kept it pushing.
Right.
My drummer didn't show up once, and he was in the hospital, but we didn't know at first.
Right.
So like he's usually like the first guy there because he likes to come in and set up all his drums and pick his spot. And so when he wasn't there, we started worrying, and thank God we found out. So I called in another drummer that I use sometimes. And he got there in about 30 minutes. We had started, but the first 30 minutes was rough.
Right, yeah, no drummer. That's the heartbeat,
We could have done like an unplugged something, but there was, other things going on. I was using a couple of new musicians, and I basically did the same thing that these old head jazz musicians did to me. I threw the ball at them. Here, go. You're supposed to know the music. Like, we've practiced this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so now you're going to have to do it on your own. And there was a couple people that were not ready at all.
And it's so funny because that reminds me of an experience. I was hanging out with a good friend of mine, and he plays the saxophone. And we were just walking around the village or whatever, and he saw some his friends playing somewhere, and they invited him on stage.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Right, so he got on stage and started playing along with them, and I'm sitting up there baffled, like, dude, how did you know what to play? Right. He's like, no, I just play certain chords. I know what chords they're playing.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
once they hit the stage, you tell them what key we in.
Right, yeah, and just go.
Especially jazz. Like, coming up around that, I have to say I really was spoiled because, I started working with musicians and realized that everybody didn't have the same facility as the people that I grew up around. Even, not just my dad's friends, who are all legends at this point, but even being in music school, I'm used to being around like serious hardcore musicians. And there's a lot of stigma. Sometimes people think singers aren't musicians.
Right.
Some singers have not studied music.
Yeah.
But just like some drummers play by ear, singers play by ear.
Right.
So we definitely are. But I play instruments too. But
okay.
It's,
what instrument did you play?
I played about. You ready for the last?
Yeah.
Okay, so I played clarinet.
Okay.
I played drums, as well as percussion, which is like the other stuff. I play harmonica.
Harmonica, okay.
And I play piano.
Really?
And my voice is my sixth instrument. So this is why I ended up not playing all these instruments.
Right.
I realized that because I've been listening to this jazz so long, it's usually music without words, right? A lot of it. And I used to sing along to like my dad's horn lines or Coltrane's horn lines or the bass, like whatever caught my fancy in that moment. So I realized I was basically making the same sounds the instruments make with my voice. And I was like, so why do I need to go 10 years to finish learning this instrument when I could just do that, do that,
Right.
And I love it so much. Like, it's really my happy place.
Okay.
Yeah, I tell everybody, if I wasn't singing on stage, I'd be at my house singing.
Right. Okay. Are there any would you say there's any pitfalls to working with a live band?
Oh yeah. If sound ain't right for a live band, the whole show sucks.
Right.
So that's something that's very important. When you're working with a band, you're working with personalities, and musicians are eccentric souls.
I know.
So sometimes you got people who, give you, like, especially me as a female band leader, that they don't know for sure what a lot of them don't know the background that I have when they first start working with me. They don't know I have a music background and I studied it for years and years and years. I learned opera and all that stuff. Like, I studied this stuff.
Right.
And so they'll give me pushback on what I want, because that's not how the song goes. I'm not doing how the song goes. I'm doing my version.
Right. This is what you
and
really
this is
meant.
what I want.
Right.
And I was talking to my dad about it one time. I was like, I don't understand why they give me so much pushback. And he was like, well, there's some female jazz singers, and I won't call any names, that were known for being really hard asses, or some people would call them a bitch. But like, sometimes you kind of gotta
right.
Hey guys, I'm paying you.
Right. This is what I want.
Yeah. When we do your gig, I'll do it exactly how you want me to do it. But right now, this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So, those are the pitfalls of, female band leader. People underestimate you. Some men think they're going to get on the band and all of a sudden they're my boyfriend, and I don't date the guys that I work with.
Right.
So, like, that's not going to, it's not going to happen. So I have to let them know, nicely, of course, that it's just too messy. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. I hear you. Have you guys, have your band ever toured anywhere or been out the country? Or,
No. That's my next goal.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting that this year. I actually redid my passport because it had expired. And when I got it, I was all excited, like I had a gig already. But, I really believe in manifestation.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a funny story. When I was packing to move to, it was when I was unpacking, when I moved to New Jersey. I ran across a note I wrote to myself when I first had my kids. So this is like 20-something years ago.
Okay.
And it had life goals on it. There was 10 things on it. I had already accomplished 5 of those life goals.
That is interesting.
5 out of them, and was on the way, in the midst of accomplishing the other 5. I'm still in the midst of accomplishing those, but yeah. I had not seen it in 20 years, but I had wrote it down, and so it stayed here, and I started, moving towards it.
Yeah, and that's funny, because I remember reading a book where an author pretty much said the same thing, that he wrote a list of 20 things down, and then 20 years later, when he went and revisited the list, he accomplished all but one of those 20 things. And I think that, especially because I have a younger child now, and I think that they're not really stressing handwriting in school, which
or cursive. I had to teach my kids cursive.
That's an important art form, because things are really can manifest a lot easier if you write it down. There's a power to writing things down.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think that's done purposely. That was done by design.
I think so too.
To keep us further detached from realizing
Oh
the
yeah,
true greatness,
absolutely.
you know.
We could go on about the decimation of the family and how,
Yeah.
you know, all of the things that do
But
that.
that's for another show.
But that is definitely for another show. Yes.
All right. So with the band, do you have a manager? Like, how do you get your gigs?
I'm the manager.
You're the manager.
I'm the marketer. I'm the head lead
promoter.
person. Yeah, all of that.
Right.
I'm all of that, and I do want to get a team.
Okay.
And you know, I do want to find a manager. It just hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And I really don't want to force anything. I want it to be organic because I've had some people ask, but some of the people who had asked to be my manager were kind of scammers. You know, they wanted all this money up front, and so if you want all this money, I need to see who you have gotten to where I want to go.
Right.
And they had nobody. I'm like, I'm not. They were like, well, I have one guy on the radio, and it's like some obscure station nobody had ever heard. I was.
It's big in Germany. It's big.
Right, you know. No, I'm good. I mean, because first of all, I told you I had many jobs. I was a paralegal at one point, so I read everything. I read everything. That little stuff at the bottom, revised to that. I'm reading that too. So I saw the content. I was like, nah, man, I'm good.
So as far as your gigs, how do you go about getting your gigs?
Well, I listen to the old school guys. Like I watched my dad teach a lot of jazz students and others who were his cronies, and he always told them, you know, when you're ready, go to New York and just start showing up on the scene. Go to the jam sessions. Okay. You know, so when I first came, I was going to the jams. Nobody knew who I was. You know, and it's not cliquish, but like if they know you when I walk in the door, you automatically get on stage. Right. If they don't know you, you got to pay your dues. They first of all, who are you? What do you sing? Do you know what you're doing? You know, and you know, okay, we're gonna give you a chance. And then they're all standing there like this, kind of like, okay, let's see what she's gonna do. You know, so you know that's what I went through, and you know, I think that's called paying your dues.
Okay.
So you know, when I first came up here, I did do that, and I still do it because it helps the market. You know, the next thing that also keeps me up front in people's minds, I've done a jam session, which is free, of course, but I've basically booked a gig at a jam session more than once. You know, once they find out that I have a band and we're ready at any moment to come and perform.
And the jam session is what, where you just...
It's where a bunch of musicians come to a predestined spot, or sometimes it's you know, it's more organic, and they all play.
Okay.
Now with jazz jam sessions, they play a lot of standards, you know, stuff that most jazz.
Right.
If you're a jazz musician, there's certain songs you should know, and in every key.
Right.
You know, and so that if a singer comes along like me who says, no, I don't do it in that key that she did it in, I do it in this key, you still know how to transpose and do it that way.
Okay.
It's been some really good music though. It's fun to me. I get to meet new people. You get to see new musicians you've never seen. You know, and I pick up band members there, you know, because this guy can't do it this day, but saw that other guy, and he was good.
So, and this is how you're able to call someone at the drop of a hat.
It's networking. It's really a lot of music is networking.
So has any of your music gone mainstream?
No.
No?
I've never recorded.
Really?
And I own a recording studio. That's crazy, right?
That is insane.
So I have the means.
Right.
But I wanted to be ready.
Okay.
When I had really something to say. And I feel that there's so many beautiful songs out here. Like, you really can't recreate anything that has not been kind of done, right? That's why people take a sample of James Brown stuff, you know what I'm saying, and put that on, you know, or whatever, and loop it, and now it's a new song. But that's still that old song, right? So I really enjoy these old songs, and I really enjoy the history behind it, you know, and so... I like that, but I do have a few things I want to say now, so I'm supposed to be going into the studio really soon.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But nothing has gone mainstream.
Nothing's gone mainstream. And you figure this is a perfect time because you figure with this world being in this place of uncertainty and people are just like not feeling good or whatever, you know, music would definitely be a healing force for that, you know. So.
I'm glad you said that. Can I tell you why I started my band?
Sure.
Because I was just going to be like a solo singer.
Yeah, I'm going to do my own thing.
Right. And so when COVID happened, in that moment, I literally did a gig the day they shut New York down.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
I was in, and it was at, I was
And
doing
no one
something.
was there, right?
No, there was plenty of people there. So I was doing this thing called music therapy.
Okay.
In nursing homes. You go in and you do
Right.
songs of their era, and you know, sometimes you see people who don't talk to
Right.
nobody
Right.
come alive.
Yeah.
And start talking and dancing and telling stories. So this is what I was doing. But you know, the nursing homes were the first and hardest hit.
Yeah.
And Queens was the center.
Right.
So I was doing this gig in Queens at a nursing home, and everybody was weird that day. It was all, you know, we had to do it different, and
Right.
you know, everybody's hand sanitized. So I'm scared. You
Right.
know, I'm
Right.
still doing it, but I'm scared. I had been booked. I was booked for the rest of the year, right? So
Okay.
that was like a steady gig for me.
In 2020? So you singing with a mask on? Ah.
No, this was before everybody freaked out.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But it was rumblings.
Right.
So we finished the gig, and I go home to New Jersey because that's where I live, right? So I get home and I turn on the TV, and they're like, New York is shut down. Now listen, never in the history of ever has
Right.
New York ever shut down, right?
Right.
So I lost all my gigs instantly because, you know, we didn't know when was coming back. So, you know, and I started getting in touch with my musician friends, and nobody was okay mentally.
Right.
Because this is how we express ourselves. This is how,
Right.
rather than a therapist, we go out and sing our heart out. We do a song that's close to our heart. You know what I'm saying? We put our all into this,
Right.
hoping that we feel better and hoping that y'all feel better, right? So January 2021 came along. It's my birthday. I couldn't go out and party.
Right.
I said, I'm going to pay y'all to come. Let's just do a jam session. Just us. No audience. We'll
Right.
film it. That's the beginning of the documentary, actually.
Right.
So we film it, and we sounded really good. I had never put this group of artists before. I was like, I think we should continue this. Would y'all like to be a part of a band called The Harmony Experience? They were like, sure. And so I started marketing that. And that's how I started, because mentally I felt like we were not okay.
Right.
And my main goal in the world is to spread a little love, one note at a time. Like, I feel like there's so much hate. There's so much horrible stuff
Right.
going on. You can't turn on the news without being depressed afterwards.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't even look at Facebook, because now I'm going to see someone that looked like my son getting killed by the police,
Right.
or whatever. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like, we're all hurting.
Right.
And I feel like just in those moments when you feel that joy of hearing that live music, that I can heal a little bit.
Right.
Heal somebody a little
Yeah.
bit. If I just heal one person, and if that person is me,
Right.
you know, I did my job. So
You know, and it's funny that you mention that, because, you know, I've always said this about the late great Prince or whatever. Like, Prince,
big influence.
yeah,
Yes.
either I liked his stuff, either I really, really liked his stuff, or I really, really didn't like his stuff. But either way, I was able to take my focus off of whatever I had going on,
Right.
to basically focus on
Like, be
that.
there.
You know, so it was just like, no, I definitely understand what you were saying.
I do believe that sound is healing, and you know, I actually am part Native American, and I come from a shamanic line. Like, we
Really?
we were the people that healed folks,
Right.
and you know, did the dances and all of that.
Right.
And I didn't realize it, but as a little girl, they were teaching me all the stories, because I was like, they teach the one that's interested, right?
Right.
And there were two of us. It was me and my cousin, and she performs with me too. But we would listen to all the stories, and now no one knows those stories but us, because they're all gone. So we have to
Right.
follow
Pass
that.
them on, right. Or
And
they
one of the
die
main
with you.
things is healing, like,
Right.
people, because everybody done been through something. Everybody needs healing from something.
Right.
Whether you stubbed your toe or whatever, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Have you performed with any A-list performers that we would know of? Or
I've opened for some. I definitely have performed with some at some of the jam sessions. I've had some who like what I do stop by my shows and jump on stage. People like James Carter, of course, my dad. I've performed with, oh gosh, I can't even think.
was your dad one of your toughest critics? Or?
No,
No?
he's very dad-like.
Okay.
Like, if there, you know, if I ask him from, you know, like, questions, he turns into teacher.
Okay.
But he's always been my biggest supporter. Thank God, because I had everyone around me, all types of friends and family. You can't do that.
Right.
That's why I got sidetracked. You need a job to fall back on in case it don't work
a real
out.
job, right?
Right,
Yeah.
a real job.
Yeah.
And he was never that.
Right.
He was
He couldn't be that, right? Because
his reality.
He started when he was like 12, 15, 14, I think he picked up
Wow.
the sax. And, you know, Coltrane told my grandmother he was next. Like, you know, like,
get out of here.
like, it's deep. I'll have to tell you that story one day. Because that's a whole nother, like you said, another show.
Right.
But, what was the question? I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm off.
No, I was just saying.
who I performed. So I opened for Life Jennings at that at the International African Arts Festival in Brooklyn.
Really? Okay.
So it was like surreal. I'm opening for Life, and I got the African dancers, which I took African dance, and I taught as a kid. I talked to them afterwards. We had the same teacher. Listen, it was so surreal. And then the guy brought me up and was talking about how this is about legacy. Like, his daughter was there. I'm the daughter of the guy that was there the first time. It was really a dope experience. So, yeah, I'm definitely performed with a few, met quite a few. I mean, I got stories for days on some of the people I've met.
And like you said, it's a niche community. It's very small.
It's a small, big community.
Right.
Because everywhere I go, I know at least one of the musicians on stage at this point, because I've been out here, you know, kind of grinding, you know. Yeah.
Do you have any? Would you say you have any mentors? Was there anyone that mentored you, or do you mentee people? Both.
Yeah, I have a lot of mentors. I call them all the time.
Okay.
The lady that got me the gig working for the nursing homes, she was a jazz singer. And she started her own band in the 50s.
Oh, wow. I
still call her to this day.
Right.
And I met Erykah Badu sitting in her living room one day. Like she's a mentor.
Get out of it.
I call her every once in a while. She'll call me, and this is what she'll say. You been working? I said, yes, ma'am. I'm doing a gig over at blah, blah, blah. She says, not a gig, a performance. I said, yes, ma'am. A performance. I did a performance over such and such. She said, did you get paid? I said, yes. All right, then. That's all that counts. But unfortunately, she's sick now and can't perform anymore, and that's why I ended up kind of taking over that particular gig. But yeah, she's still a main influence. Matter of fact, I'm gonna shout out Sister Makia.
Sister Makia.
Yes, Sister Makia, we love you. You know, but she's not the only one. I had Abby Lincoln offer to become my.
Did you really?
And I turned it down. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I just met my husband, and we had just got pregnant. And I was like, I'm not moving to New York when I finally found the love of my life, and we're about to have this baby. And that is truly the reason why, and I'm not sorry that I did it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not sorry.
You made the best choice.
I did.
At the time, so.
But looking back on it, I was like, what was I thinking? You know what?
But you know what? It's one of those things where, you know, I like to say that you can't have a positive without a negative. You know, so this would have opened up for you, but then, you know, there would have been all this treachery and horror.
I would not have experienced that true love of you know, having these children and you know, having this love story. And, you know, I'm grateful that I had that. You know, he's been gone for 10 years now, and I'm still single because, you know, not that I compare anybody to him, but when you have somebody that loves you unconditionally, it's hard to go to somebody that don't.
Right.
Or just want the skin, like.
Yeah. and at the end of the day, that's the ultimate form of love too, like the unconditional love. Yeah. I tell people, you know, which, you know, I believe there's obviously a difference between loving someone and being in love with someone.
Absolutely.
And my terminology or my understanding is that being in love is, like you said, the unconditional love. Well, I'll love you no matter what. Sort of like. Almost like the way that a parent loves a child, minus the romantic aspect.
Yeah, you see them people that shot up a school and their parent was like, "That's not my baby,"
you know. Or even if it is,
I'm still standing behind him.
Yeah,
right. Because who else?
Damn, he didn't have to do all of that, but damn.
Right, because who else is going to? If not me, then who? You know, like for real.
Right. Yeah. I firmly believe that one of the ways that we can truly measure success is by what we give, and how we give, how much we give.
Right.
So how do you give back to the community if you give back to the community?
I do, but I do more than one thing. Like as a healer and an empath, I feel when people ain't feeling right. And I will, even if they're a stranger, if I sense they're receptive, I'll just go and talk to them. Like no spooky shit, you know, you know, none of that. Just go talk to them. Some people just want someone to listen.
Right, yeah.
You know, I also, I have a lot of clothes, right? So I go through my clothes a couple of times a year and give them to homeless shelters
Oh, do
and
you?
stuff
Okay.
like that.
Right.
You know, food. You know, I just, when I have extra, I give extra, and when I don't, I can't.
Right.
But I do make certain that I am a good citizen in the world, and I really believe that a lot of my community service is making people feel better through music.
Right.
You know.
Right. See, and that's interesting. You brought up a point, being an empath. So, have there been any times where, like, you know, as an empath, you're performing and you're feeding or reading the room, and then you're just like, all right, let me tailor things up a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I do. As a matter of fact, some of my band members didn't like this, but I never have a set list.
Okay.
Right? I go with the vibe of the room.
Right.
So, you know, whatever I'm feeling. I also, you know, of course, we pray before I do. I don't know what everybody else does. And I ask to be a vessel.
Right.
To heal people. I really do. And
that is amazing. So hold up, there's no set list?
No, we have the songs that we're going to do, but we don't know which order we doing them in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And we got some extras in our pocket in case this song might not work here, but you know what I mean? Like,
okay.
So, yeah.
I was going to say, you're phenomenal.
Oh, no.
Like, no, we're going to go out there and we're going to do ABC.
Right.
And now we're going to do these on the break.
Well, wait a minute. But sometimes it is like that.
Right.
Because, like, the way my mind works, I'll hear one song, and like a DJ, I'll be like, yo, this song would go good right here. And I'll start singing that song within there. Now, when I have really intuitive band members, they'll catch the vibe. Like, sometimes I go into a whole house set, you know, and start doing Follow Me, you know, that type of stuff.
Right.
And they'll doom, doom, doom. Like, you know, I didn't put that on the list.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
So it's really organic. And the thing with jazz is that because we already have the basis of all these songs we know, we really don't have to have a set list because, you know, I could just do standards. At Last, Summertime, you know, I could do stuff like that everybody knows. But sometimes I go off into like rock and blues and, you know, soul. So.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's all intertwined.
Yeah,
you know.
It's all the same music, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
7 notes.
So where can people find you if they wanted to find out more about you?
Well, so I'm working on a website, and it's actually going to carry the same name as my Instagram, which is Harmony Love 555. You can find me on there. It's exactly how it's supposed to be spelled. There's no underlines, there's no Q's or extra V. Just Harmony Love 555 on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. You can find me there. I have a YouTube channel. I think it's the Harmony Experience. I ain't been on there in so long. And also you can catch me live. If you come to New York City, just check out Harmony Love 555 on Instagram, and I drop all of my flyers there. I'll be at the Shrine tomorrow night.
Oh, really? Okay.
With Omar Edwards, you know, the tap dancer.
Right.
So he's gonna be be there from 8 to 9:30, and then I'll be coming on late night from 10 to 11:30 to rock the people out. Part of this festival that we're doing, the Harlem Jazz Club let me say that again. The Harlem Jazz Club Revival. We're just trying to bring, you know, awareness to all of the jazz clubs in Harlem that are still around and still doing stuff. So it's like a 10-day festival that I'm a part of. You know.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. Well, Harmony, I appreciate you.
You as well.
Your time, man, your story was amazing.
Thank you.
Guys, there's no excuses. There's no excuses. You're overweight, you can drop the weight, you know. She could survive the husband. I'm speechless. I don't even know what more to say. But you know, that's going to do it for this week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You know, tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's grow this channel. We got Harmony in the house. Let's go out and support her, especially if you're in the New York area. Feel good. Peace.
Peace.
I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you will always get an alert when a new video drops.